Hi everyone, I'm Yvonne. Welcome to Prices Then and Now. Today we're going to take a nostalgic stroll through the aisles of history. Ever wonder what items used to cost way back when compared to what they cost now? Well, let's find out how much our dollar used to stretch. This is a game you can play with a group in a community living center, at home, or just let it run in the background. I'll show you an everyday item and give you the year. Your job is to guess what it cost back then, and then we'll see what it costs today. Press pause anytime to discuss and reminisce. Okay, let's play. The first section is all grocery items. 1965. How much was a loaf of bread? Believe it or not, Wonder Bread was less than 30 cents. And what's even more wild is wheat bread was cheaper. Pre-sliced bread became a standard grocery store item by the 1930s. Back then, Wonder Bread promised to build strong bodies 12 ways, and it was a lunchbox staple. How much is a loaf of bread now? Have you been to the store recently? That same loaf of Wonder Bread from years ago is now around $3, and a loaf of wheat bread close to $5. 1950. How much was a dozen eggs? In 1950, a dozen eggs cost about 60 cents. In the 50s, egg cartons were a new invention. Before that, people brought their own containers. The phrase egg money referred to rural women's side income from selling eggs. How much are a dozen eggs now? The average price is around $3.69 a dozen. How much was a half gallon of milk in 1970? A half gallon of milk in 1970 was just 59 cents, and milkmen still delivered to doorsteps in glass bottles, complete with foil caps. Do you remember the milkman coming to your door? How much is a half a gallon of milk today? A half gallon of milk is around $2.50. How much was a pound of butter in 1960? In 1960, butter cost 58 cents a pound. During World War II, butter was rationed, so margarine became the go-to spread. Do you remember the other word for margarine that starts with O? How much is butter today? Butter is a lot more expensive, over $5 a pound. How much would you pay for a pound of coffee in 1955? A pound of coffee in 1955 was just 58 cents. Instant coffee was booming. Maxwell House ads promised good to the last drop, and also a moment of calm for busy housewives. How much would you pay for a pound of store brand coffee today? Today you can find a pound of store brand coffee for just a little over $8. Not a bad deal. How much was 5 pounds of sugar in 1948? In 1948, 5 pounds of sugar was only 48 cents and marketed as a cheap energy pick-me-up. How much would you pay for 5 pounds of sugar today? Well, good luck trying to find a 5-pound bag because they only sell them in 4-pounders for around $5. And the next category is household helpers. How much would you pay for a vacuum cleaner in 1958? In 1958, you can find a vacuum cleaner for around $70. Do you remember having this style of vacuum? Some models even came with beauty kits, attachments for drying their hair, and polishing shoes. And how much do you think an Electrolux vacuum cleaner would sell for today? You can find a brand new Electrolux vacuum cleaner for around $360. How much was a basic washing machine in 1960? A washing machine in 1960 was $210. Wringer washers, believe it or not, were still common. Automatic machines were considered a luxury upgrade. And how much do you think a mid-level washer would cost today? A mid-level washing machine without all the bells and whistles, you're looking at nearly $700. How much do you think a toaster was in 1949? Toasters in 1949 ranged from $9.95 to $16.95, and they were often given as wedding gifts. Chrome and Bakelite were in vogue. Some early models toasted only one side at a time. Flip and repeat. Do you know how much a toaster is today? Believe it or not, toasters are one of the few items that haven't suffered the effects of inflation. Only my editing skills. How much was a refrigerator in 1955? In 1955, a basic fridge was around $350. Tiny freezers held just a tray of ice cubes, and frost-free was a major selling point. How much is a basic refrigerator today? Today, a basic refrigerator will run you around $600. In 1970, how much was a colored TV? In 1970, a colored TV was around $249, and only half of U.S. households had a colored TV then. RCA's Living Color ads helped change that. How much would you pay for a colored TV today? Today, you could pay over $1,500 and even more. In 1975, how much was a microwave? A microwave in 1975 cost between $215 and $495. They were first used in restaurants. Home cookers were skeptical at first, and they were still considered futuristic and slightly scary. Were you scared of microwaves back in the day? About how much do you think a microwave costs today? Today, microwaves are still around the same price as they cost back in the 70s. Next category, luxury and treats. Do you remember how much a movie ticket was in 1972? A movie ticket in 1972 was only $1.70, and drive-ins were still popular and charged by the carload, not per person, and matinees often under $1. How much is a ticket to the movies today? The average ticket price is around $10.80, and that doesn't include popcorn. In 1960, how much was a steak dinner at a restaurant? A steak dinner in 1960 was only $3.50. Restaurants often included soup, salad, potato, and dessert, all for one price. Sizzler and Ponderosa were booming with family-friendly prices. Do you remember eating at either of those restaurants? And how much is a steak dinner at a restaurant today? A current steak dinner price goes for around $30. How much do you think an ice cream cone cost in 1955? In 1955, an ice cream cone was just 10 cents. Howard Johnson's had 28 flavors, more than Baskin-Robbins at that time. How much is an ice cream cone today? Today, a single scoop ice cream cone will run you about $3. How much was a hot dog at the ballpark in 1965? A hot dog at the ballpark in 1965 cost only 30 cents. They were first sold at baseball games in 1893. Dodger dogs debuted in 1965. Now they're a stadium legend. How much would you expect to pay for a hot dog at a baseball game today? Today, you can expect to pay at least $6.50, and that's on the low end. How much was a magazine in 1970? Magazines in 1970 ranged from 30 to 75 cents. Life magazine had over 8 million subscribers, and mail-in sweepstakes were everywhere, as well as free sample offers. How much is a magazine today? A magazine today will run you from $5 to $14. How much was a gallon of gasoline in 1960? Gas was just 30 cents a gallon, and full-service stations cleaned your windshield and checked your oil for no extra charge. How much is a gallon of gas today? At the time of making this program, gas was around $3 a gallon. Of course, that can change by the month. How much was a typical motel night in 1968? A single motel night in 1968 was $15, and Motel 6 really did charge $6 a night, hence the name. Roadside motels often advertised color TV as a luxury as well. How much would a typical motel stay cost today? The average motel stay will run you about $100 to $145 a night. The last category, everyday items. How much was a stamp in 1960? A postage stamp in 1960 was just 4 cents, and like today featured national parks, presidents, and even space missions. You could buy stamps at a vending machine in the post office to avoid the line. Do you know how much a stamp is today? Today, one first-class stamp is 78 cents. Do you remember how much a pair of jeans were in 1975? In 1975, a pair of jeans cost just $12. And Levi's, like today, were the go-to for teens and rock stars. But denim was still considered rebellious, not office appropriate. What could you expect to pay for a pair of Levi's today? A brand new pair of Levi's will cost nearly $70. How much was a bicycle in 1970? In 1970, a bicycle cost just about $50, and the Schwinn Stingrays ruled the streets. Banana seats and high-rise handlebars were the iconic thing to have. How much do you think a new bicycle costs today? A basic new bicycle will cost around $200 these days. How much would a pack of chewing gum run you in 1955? A pack of gum in 1955 was just 5 cents. Bazooka gum came with mini comics, collectible and chewy. Wrigley's Double Mint twins were TV ad icons. Speaking of Double Mint, how much do you think a pack of Double Mint gum today is? Today, you can expect to pay about $1.50 for a pack of Double Mint. How much was a stroller in 1970? A stroller in 1970 cost between $25 and $50. Umbrella strollers were just catching on, lightweight and foldable. Many strollers had metal frames and no seat belts. How much do you think a regular stroller would cost today? Today, the average stroller costs around $150. How much was a tube of toothpaste in 1970? Toothpaste in 1970 cost just about 60 cents. Striped toothpaste, like the brand Stripe, was a novelty. Fluoride was a new health trend and became mainstream in the 1960s. How much is a tube of toothpaste today? Today, you can find an average tube of toothpaste for around $4. Did you guess most of these items correctly? Did anything bring back any memories for you? I hope so. But before we end, I have one more bonus question. How much was a two-bedroom home in 1960? In 1960, a two-bedroom home was between $7,450 and $7,900, with a monthly payment of just $47.92. My mind is blown. Can you imagine those prices today? And many homes had pink bathrooms and knotty pine kitchens, classic mid-century style. Do you remember what you paid for your first home? Or what you paid to rent your first apartment? I'm sure it was much less than what things cost now. Thanks so much for playing along. If any of those prices brought back a memory for you, please feel free to share it in the comments. Also, it would mean a lot if you could like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much and have a great day.